I used to think I was doing everything right. I was getting enough sleep, eating well, even cutting back on caffeine. But no matter what I did, I kept waking up feeling like I had just run an emotional marathon in my sleep. My body wasn't aching, but my mind, my emotions, and my soul felt like they were dragging themselves across concrete. It didn't happen all at once. There wasn't some dramatic moment where I collapsed on the floor in tears. Burnout for me arrived silently. It slipped in over weeks, months, maybe even years, until one morning. I looked in the mirror and thought, when did I stop feeling like me? That was the day I admitted something I had tried so hard to deny. I was burned out. Not just tired, not just overwhelmed. I was depleted. And not because I was lazy or weak or ungrateful, but because no one had ever taught me that rest isn't just sleep. It's not one thing. It's actually 7 different types. And if you miss even just one, it's enough to throw everything off. That realization changed everything. Because I wasn't broken. I was missing pieces of recovery I didn't even know existed. And today, I want to share them with you. Because maybe, just maybe, you're missing them too. For the longest time, I thought rest just meant sleep. So every time I felt exhausted, I told myself, just get 8 hours tonight. Just power through the day and then crash. And for a while, that kind of worked. Until it didn't. Because no matter how much I slept, I still woke up feeling like something inside me was running on fumes. I wasn't just physically tired, I was mentally foggy, emotionally numb, and spiritually disconnected. And the worst part was I didn't even notice it happening, because burnout doesn't always show up like a dramatic breakdown. Sometimes it shows up quietly, like forgetting why you walked into a room, like sitting in a meeting and realizing you didn't hear a single word that was said, like feeling empty, even on the days when nothing went wrong. Especially for people like me, the ones who pride ourselves on pushing through the ones who check every box and still feel like something's missing. Burnout doesn't feel like fire. It feels like nothing. Like going through the motions with a smile on your face while everything inside you is slowly dimming. And then one day I stumbled across something that made me stop completely. A researcher named Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith described burnout as a rest deficit, not a laziness issue, not a time management problem, a deficit. A gap between the type of rest we actually need and the type of rest we think we're giving ourselves. And in that moment, something clicked, because I realized I had only ever focused on the one type of rest, sleep. But Dr. Smith uncovered something different, that there are actually 7 types of rest, and if even one of them is neglected over time, the exhaustion creeps in. That's why you can sleep 8 hours and still wake up feeling empty. Because you're not just tired in your body, you're tired in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit. And no amount of naps can fix that kind of depletion. I didn't need to sleep more. I needed to rest deeper. In ways I had never been taught. In places I didn't even know were running on empty. When I first heard that there were 7 types of rest, it almost felt overwhelming. But then I realized maybe that was the problem. I had been trying to fix my exhaustion with just one kind of rest, sleep. And when that didn't work, I assumed something was wrong with me. But it wasn't me, it was the way I was trying to recover that was incomplete. So I decided to try something different. I stopped guessing and started listening, and I took it one rest at a time. The first one I tackled was mental rest, because honestly my brain never stopped. I would wake up already stressed and go to sleep still thinking about what I hadn't finished. I was stuck in a loop of overthinking that never turned off. Mental rest gave me a way out. I started setting alarms every 90 minutes during my workday just to walk away for a moment, stretch, breathe, make tea, nothing fancy, just enough to tell my brain you don't have to solve everything right now. That alone changed the quality of my focus and helped me stop living in constant reaction mode. Then came social rest, and this one hit deep. Because I had filled my life with people but not with connection. I kept showing up to conversations that felt more like performances, saying yes to keep the peace, laughing when I didn't feel like it, and the truth is I was lonely even when I was never alone. Social rest taught me to protect my energy like it mattered, to choose people who nourished me, not just needed me. It reminded me that I don't have to be available to everyone at the cost of disappearing from myself. The next turning point was physical rest. I had treated my body like a machine. Push now, recover later. But the truth is my body had been speaking to me all along, in the tightness of my shoulders, in the fatigue that sleep couldn't fix, in the shallow breathing I didn't even notice. Physical rest became my way of saying I care. I slowed down on purpose. I added moments of softness to my day, a few stretches, a slower evening routine, more water, less urgency, and for the first time in a long time I didn't feel like I was fighting against my own body. Creative rest brought color back to my world. I didn't realize how uninspired I had become, until I noticed I hadn't created anything for joy in months. Everything had become output, performance, metrics. But creative rest gave me permission to create without a reason. I picked up painting again. I danced in my kitchen. I let myself be silly. It reminded me that joy doesn't have to be earned. It can be accessed. Emotional rest was a reckoning. I had become so good at being strong that I forgot how to feel. I avoided hard conversations. I said I was fine when I was breaking. And every time I bottled it up, I lost a piece of myself. Emotional rest helped me come home, to tell myself the truth, to cry when I needed to say no and mean it. It gave me language for the weight I was carrying and the courage to set it down. Sensory rest was something I didn't expect to matter, but it did. I was overwhelmed by things I couldn't even name. Bright screens, loud noises, constant notifications. It was like my nervous system never got to exhale. So I unplugged. 1 night a week, no tech, silence on the commute. Just my thoughts and my breath. It felt uncomfortable at first, but slowly it felt like returning to calm, and finally spiritual rest. The kind of rest that asks bigger questions. Why am I doing what I do? What matters to me beyond achievement? Where do I belong? And for the first time in a long time, I didn't answer with a checklist. I answered with my values, my truth, my heart. Spiritual rest reminded me that I am not just here to perform. I'm here to live, to feel, to grow, and to connect with something greater than myself. Each of these forms of rest played a different role in my healing. They weren't quick fixes. They were invitations. Invitations to return to myself piece by piece. And when I followed them, I didn't just feel less tired. I felt more whole. I stopped surviving. And I started coming back to life. Once I understood the different types of rest, I stopped trying to fix everything overnight. Instead, I gave myself permission to start small, one habit at a time, one shift at a time. These weren't huge life overhauls. They were quiet practices that grounded me every single day. The first was for mental rest. I created brain breaks. Every 90 minutes I stepped away from my work, even if just for 5 minutes. I'd stretch, make tea, stand outside and breathe. Sometimes I'd do the 4, 7, and 8 breathing technique, which helped me slow my heart rate and reset. It wasn't magic, but it brought space back into my day. It reminded me that my brain wasn't built to go full speed all day. The second habit was for social rest. I started protecting my social energy like my life depended on it. I limited time with people who drained me and prioritized conversations that felt nourishing. I scheduled coffee chats with friends who really saw me, people I didn't have to perform for. I took breaks from social media when it felt like too much. And I reminded myself often that being alone isn't the same as being lonely. Sometimes solitude was the rest I needed most. The third habit was for physical rest. I stopped pushing through fatigue and started honoring it. I downloaded short body scan meditations that I could do anywhere, even sitting on the floor of my bedroom. I used a yoga nidra app before bed to calm my nervous system. I started winding down earlier and traded late night scrolling for a book. And on the hard days, I simply let myself lay down. No guilt, no shame, just listening to what my body was asking for. The fourth habit supported my creative rest. I brought art back into my world. Not for work, not for anyone else, just for me. I painted watercolor with my daughter on Sunday mornings. I made playlists and sang in the car. I walked through bookstores just to feel inspired. And every now and then I signed up for something random like a pottery class or a new recipe just to feel curious again. Creativity became a form of restoration, not obligation. My fifth habit was all about emotional rest. I started journaling consistently. Not beautifully, not perfectly, just honestly. I wrote down what I was really feeling before it became resentment. I gave myself permission to say no and let that be a complete sentence. And when someone asked how I was doing, I tried telling the truth, even if it was just a little more true than yesterday. And slowly I stopped carrying the weight of pretending. The sixth habit focused on sensory rest. I built an unplugged evening into my week, no screens after dinner. I called it No Tech Tuesday. I used that time to read playboard games, sit in quiet, or just breathe without distraction. I also started using an eye mask and earplugs for 20 minutes during stressful days just to give my brain a break from the noise. Silence became a form of medicine. Finally, the seventh habit was for spiritual rest. I carved out 5 minutes each morning to realign with myself. Before checking emails, before jumping into tasks, I asked simple questions. What matters to me today? What do I want to feel? What am I grateful for right now? I reminded myself that I am a work in progress, not a finished product. That my value is never tied to how much I could get done. These 7 habits did not make me perfect. They made me whole. They created rhythms of care in a life that used to run only on pressure. And every time I return to them, I feel myself returning to me. I used to think that rest was something you earned, that I had to check every box fight, every battle show up for everyone, before I was allowed to sit down, before I was allowed to breathe. But now I know rest is not a luxury. It is not a reward. It is survival. It is healing. It is how we return to ourselves when the world keeps pulling us away. And if you've been living in that quiet exhaustion, pretending everything is fine while breaking in invisible places, I want you to know you don't need permission to slow down. You don't need permission to feel. You don't need permission to heal. You already deserve it. Not because you did enough, but because you exist. Because you are human. And humans need care. So ask yourself right now, what part of me feels most tired? Is it my mind that won't stop racing? Is it my heart that's tired of pretending? Is it my body that keeps going even when it begs me to pause? Is it my spirit that feels disconnected from meaning? Whatever it is, you are allowed to begin again. Not next year, not next month, not when life calms down, but today, right here. In small, gentle ways. Rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is choosing to stay soft in a world that tries to make you hard. It is choosing to listen to your inner voice before it becomes a scream. You don't have to do everything to be worthy. You don't have to fix yourself to be enough. You are already enough, as you are. Tired, healing, growing, and trying. And if this video gave you something to hold on to, leave a comment below and let me know which type of rest your soul is calling for most. And if you need a reminder later, come back to this moment. Rewatch it. Let it sink in again. You are not behind. You are rebuilding. You are not broken. You are becoming, and you are not alone. We're in this together, one